Good afternoon, welcome to the theater. My name is Mark Bly, I'm the co-chair of the music department. Very excited to have Band 4 perform today. Behind me on the Dale Lewis stage, I'd like you to see the wonderful backdrop that we're using for our gala tomorrow night, our 50th anniversary gala. I'd like to recognize many of the assistant teachers who are integral to the success of this group, so please hold your applause till the end as I announce their names. Richard Blake, Ethan Asoskin, Jacob Nyes, John Viviani, Mickey Sososky, and the assistant to the conductor is Alex Delarado. Round of applause. It is my honor to introduce conductor of Band 4, Mr. David Schecker.
Our opening piece was a circus march, and we do that to get everybody awake and give a little time for the people who might be coming a little late to get their seats without feeling like they're interrupting something very serious. We're going to play for you now a piece called The Overture to Candide. Candide was a Broadway show that was written in the 1950s by Leonard Bernstein. Bernstein went on to become a very, very famous both conductor and composer, kind of an icon of American music. But when that first show came out, he was not that well known, and the show only lasted for about 2 months. It has come back on revivals, and I think it's due to come back for a revival pretty soon again. But the only part of the show that really has survived, that people still have done continuously since that time, has been the overture. And basically, it is just a piece of fun. It has all sorts of clowning around and things where that you have these beautiful melodies that come in, but they're beautiful in a way that it's kind of like you would have in a Broadway musical that was going to have a happy ending, okay? It's, there's nothing tragic about this piece at all. Every once in a while, like, it's very quiet, and it diminishes, almost like it sounds like the whole piece is just going to just fade away, and then he brings it back. He brings it just way down and then comes back again. And at the very end, he has this rousing thing where he puts all the themes together. So this is the Overture to Candide by Leonard Bernstein. The next piece that we're going to play for you is called Chester. It's by William Schumann, who was the director of Juilliard when he wrote this. It was in 1950. And it's based on a hymn tune that later turned into a marching tune during the American Revolution. And this piece starts off with that hymn tune being played twice, once by the woodwinds, then once by the brass. So he makes a nice contrast there. And then he starts in using it more like it's the marching tune. And this piece also has jokes in it, but the jokes are much less funny, and sometimes they're more like the jokes are on us as musicians. What happens? He puts things where we don't expect them to go. He gets things built up. He passes things back and forth. This is a very, very smart piece. There is a lot of things going on. And the way to think of how it's put together is like tiles that you would put if you're going to put them on your kitchen or your bathroom wall, where you piece things together and you make the whole thing to make a scene. He jumps around with it, and oftentimes, when he has us playing, once we get rid of the nice hymn in the beginning, is he has half the band playing in one key and half the band playing in another key. So you're going to hear some sounds that jar with each other. Most of those wrong-sounding notes are right, and it clicks along, but you're going to be able to hear that hymn go through the whole thing. Near the very end, you're going to know we're coming to what we would call the coda in music, which in Italian means the tail. You're going to hear we get to that point because the trumpet player is going to be playing that hymn on the trumpet, and you're going to hear the drums, the snare drum coming. So it's going to have that revolutionary feel that you have, that having of it being the marching tune. So you know we're wrapping it up. But in the meantime, you're going to hear a lot of jumping around. So just stick with him, because it does make sense after he puts it all together. Our last piece is going to be much less serious. This is written by Camille Saint-Saëns, who was a French composer who wrote in the latter half of the 19th century. That's the 1800s. And this was written for two piano players to play. And it was transcribed by Arthur Frankenpole, who was a professor for many years up at the Crane School of Music, and a man who I got to know and work. And he had a great sense of humor. And you will hear the humor come out in this piece more in where he gives what would have just been the piano notes to various and sundry members of the band, including giving cymbal crashes and bass drum booms in places where things are wide open. So it's a kind of a tongue-in-cheek thing. And this is based on what's called a passe doble. He calls it a passe redoublé. In other words, it's going to be quick, but even quicker. European marches are generally quite slower than American marches, but this one is meant to be played relatively fast. Not lightning fast, but quite quick, and I think that you're going to enjoy the kind of lightheartedness in it.